Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever really wondered how hypnosis works? Beyond all the stage shows and what you see in the movies? Well, today, we're going to break it all down into simple, practical steps. We're going to walk through a basic hypnotic induction, but we're going to focus on how to do it safely, ethically, and in a way that actually works. All right, let's jump right in. This quote right here, it gets to the heart of everything and kind of flips the common idea of hypnosis on its head. See, most people think it all starts with a magic word, like sleep. But the truth is, the real work, the thing that makes it all possible, is done long before you ever give that command. So, let's kick things off with part one, the preparation. This is all about what hypnotists call the pre-frame. And trust me, if you get this part right, the rest of the whole process becomes surprisingly easy. So what exactly is this pre-frame? Think of it as everything that happens before the formal induction. It's how you approach someone, the way you start the conversation, the specific instructions you give. It's all about building a sense of cooperation and trust. This is where you lay the entire foundation for success. It actually starts with a couple of super simple compliance tests. First, you just ask the person to put their feet together. It's a tiny request, right? But it shows they're willing to follow your lead. Then you test their arm for looseness. You want it to be completely limp, like a wet noodle. This tells you that they're physically relaxing and not fighting the process. Okay, now we have to tackle the biggest misconception out there. It is absolutely crucial that you tell your subject that hypnosis is not the same as being asleep. When you're asleep, you're not hearing instructions. But hypnosis, that's a state of focused relaxation where they are listening the entire time. Getting this clear from the start is essential. And look, safety is number one, always. If you're working with someone that you physically can't support if they were to go completely limp, you give them the suggestion that their feet are glued to the floor. It's a simple instruction, but it can prevent a fall, and it makes sure the experience is safe for both of you. Okay, so the prep work is done, we've built trust, and the expectations are crystal clear. Now we get to the moment that everybody thinks of when they hear the word hypnosis, the induction itself. We can break the induction down into 4 clear steps. First, you give that final instruction. When I say the word sleep, your eyes will close and your body will relax. Second, you do one last arm test to confirm they're limp. Third, you give the command with confidence, sleep. And fourth, and this is absolutely critical, you have to deepen the trance immediately. The second they go under, you follow up with phrases like all the way down, deeper and deeper. If you don't deepen right away, that person can pop right back out of the trance. You have to guide them into that state and help them stay there. So once the person is in a stable, hypnotic state, you can start to explore different depths of trance. And the deeper someone goes, the more profound and interesting the hypnotic phenomena you can create. Let's take a look at the different levels. In the lightest phase of hypnosis, you can achieve something called catalepsy. This is where you can suggest that a part of their body is stuck. For example, you might suggest their hands are glued so tightly together that they just can't pull them apart, no matter how hard they try. As you guide them deeper, you can move on to amnesia. This is a state where you can suggest they temporarily forget a piece of information, like their own name. You ask them what it is, and their mind just goes blank. This requires a medium level of trance. Now, in the deepest levels, you can get to what's called deep trance identification. This is where the really incredible stuff happens. You could suggest they see something that isn't there, or even have them temporarily believe they're a completely different person. So to quickly sum up that progression, you start with physical suggestions like catalepsy in a light trance. You move on to mental suggestions like amnesia in a medium trance, and you can eventually reach identity level changes in a deep trance. Each level really does build on the one before it. So how do you get someone from that light state of catalepsy all the way down to those deepest levels of trance? Well, the secret isn't some special technique or a magic word. It's all about psychology and progression. It's the power of starting small. This right here might be the single most important piece of advice for any aspiring hypnotist. You don't just jump straight to making someone forget their name. You build belief and deepen the trance by starting with small, achievable suggestions that naturally lead to bigger ones. This process is often called the ladder of suggestions. For example, you start with a suggestion that their eyes are stuck shut. Once they accept that, you move on to their hands being stuck together. After that succeeds, their mind is much more open to a bigger suggestion, like forgetting their name. Each success builds momentum for the next one. So, this leads to a huge question people always ask. How can you tell how deep someone is in a trance? Can you see it on their face? Is it about their breathing? The simple, honest answer is you don't know for sure just by looking. While a relaxed body, calm breathing, and fluttering eyelids are all great signs, you never truly know the depth until you test a suggestion. If you suggest their hand is stuck and they can't move it, then you know they're deep enough for catalepsy. You always have to test.
All right, we've covered the prep, the induction, and the deepening. But knowing the steps is only half the battle. The other half is practicing safely and, most importantly, with a strong sense of responsibility for the person you're guiding.
If you want to get started, here are 3 simple exercises. First, master that arm test so you can feel what true relaxation is like. Then, practice the hand stuck suggestion to get your first successful catalepsy. And finally, use the eyes stuck suggestion as that very first rung on the ladder. These exercises will build both your skill and your confidence.
And this is the most important rule in all of hypnosis, the golden rule. Before you end any session, you must undo every single suggestion you've given. If their hands are stuck, you unstick them. If they've forgotten their name, you give it back. And you always end by making them feel amazing, positive, and better than they did before you started.
This quote just sums up the ethical core of hypnosis perfectly. Your goal should never be just about entertainment or showing off a skill. It has to be about ensuring the person you're working with has a positive, empowering experience and leaves feeling significantly better than when they arrived. So, we've walked through the entire process, from the pre-frame all the way to the deepest levels of trance. We've seen that it's not magic. It's a structured process built on trust, relaxation, and suggestion. Now that you understand these fundamental building blocks, there's really only one question left. What are you going to discover about the incredible power of the human mind?